Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Seated. Meeting come to order.
Thank you all for coming to the open session meeting. First up on announcements is the election. So we are still in the election season. Up? Can you hear me? Yes, okay. Still in the election season. We will be until the end of March. We'll be sending out the district delegate ballots next week. So if I'm calling you, if you're in a couple of the districts that we still need somebody, you can take my call. It's a very easy thing to do. The only thing that you have to do is be here for 1 hour on April 30th here in the ballroom. You're already here. It's like halfway there. It's just a different day. We will also be sending out, with the new election rules and laws that are in place, we send out the board members that are on or scheduled to be on the ballot in February. That goes out February 25th. That's not to say that you can't still put in your nomination. It's self-nominating policy, so you fill out the application. I just got one in right now, so I've got 5 people running for the board. So when that goes out, if you say, hey, I want my name to be on there, you still can do that. I just fill out that application. That would need to be back before the week of March 27th, because that's when we actually send out the board election ballots. After that, you'd have to be a write-in candidate, which you can most certainly do. Time test. So the Breckenridge gate is turned over. The stickers are working. The black transponders are not. And we've had some people say that it's going to take them longer to get up to the hill. So we did a test earlier this morning, and to go from Potrero Avenue down Potrero to the main gate and up to the summit took 2 minutes and 51 seconds, going the speed limit, and obeying all the stop signs. Doing the speed limit, going to the stop signs to go from that same spot on Potrero up to the summit took 3 minutes and 38 seconds. So it takes longer to go to Breckenridge, even though it might feel like it's faster. But again, that's doing the speed limit. And then the turnover, so we do have the Breckenridge gate turned over. All the stickers are now working. We thank you for your patience while we work through that little issue. And then my monthly announcement to slow down. It is 30 miles an hour on the circle, 25 on the side streets, 15 in the parking lot. And with that, we'll go to homeowner input. And as a reminder, it's limited to 3 minutes per homeowner, and only one request to speak form may be submitted per homeowner. Be no sharing or passing of time to another person. Homeowner input may be held for a maximum period of 30 minutes before the board meeting begins to allow the board to proceed with the business portion of the meeting. This portion of the meeting is limited to board participation only. Residents are welcome and encouraged to stay for the full meeting to witness the business of the corporation taking place by your governing agents. And our first speaker is Lavinia Ortega.
Good afternoon. I got no mic.
Can't hear you.
So mic doesn't seem to be working. Hello? Okay. Does that count against my time, 3 minutes? I hope not. Okay. My name is Lou Ortega, and I live at 1508 Altera. It's been about 2.5 years since I came before the board, but I have something that's bothering me. It has nothing to do with the board, except in a little way. I want to complain about the Record Gazette. Now, we have a rule against solicitation. All homeowners, residents, vendors, and guests are obligated to follow this rule. If we don't follow the rule, then we are fined or we lose certain privileges. Now, the Record Gazette has been granted a privilege. They have the privilege of entering our community to support or to distribute their paper to their subscribers. But once inside the gate, they just throw the paper to anybody, whether they're subscribing or not. And this constitutes listening. It's a violation of our rules. Now, I don't want to be a crotchety homeowner, a nasty homeowner, but I don't like picking up their paper, and I think that their privilege should be revoked until they provide management with the name and addresses of all of their subscribers. Otherwise, we have no way of knowing, are they throwing it to everybody or just to their subscribers? Maybe they have 100 subscribers, but that doesn't give them the right to throw 500 papers in our community. All I'm asking is that the same rule that applies to everybody. All guests have to give a name and address. All vendors have to give the name and address. And I think that that should apply to the Record Gazette also. Now, I have been trying since September to get them to please don't do this, don't leave this paper, you're aggravating me. And they give me one excuse after another. Let's see. You have to call us every week to remind us not to deliver the paper. You should write to the new editor, you wrote to the old editor. It's not us, it's our distributor. Or the paper will not be thrown into your yard. So they stop for a week or two, and then the paper reappears. So I am here to ask the board, would you please enforce the rule against solicitation against the Record Gazette? Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Sandra Roberts.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, I'm speaking here in favor of the off-leash area here in Four Seasons. I believe an active adult development of this size, with this many residents with dogs, needs an off-leash area for our dogs. It's an important amenity that many active adult communities have and consider a necessity. Many people I have spoken with did not understand why it is so important to have an off-leash area. I prefer the term off-leash area over dog park as it more accurately describes its purpose. It's not just a place for dogs to run, but being off-leash is the key piece. Dogs need to socialize with other dogs and people, and dogs on leashes have very different behaviors than dogs that are allowed to run and play together. It's actually quite an interesting phenomenon. The same dogs that play together off-leash, once on leash, may actually bark and show aggression. I have listened to the objections that many people have expressed to the off-leash area, and some are only objecting to the location, not the idea of having an off-leash area. I would have preferred a perfect location as well, but I know the committees and the residents who have been working on this project over the years tried very hard to find the ideal location. It's not as easy just to put it over there. Anywhere you look in our development, you're going to see houses, and wherever there's a fenced area for dogs and residents to enjoy the off-peak social time will be in view of someone's house. I looked at the area below Stellar Peak, and it's the only logical place remaining after all the areas were considered. The houses are situated very high above it. It doesn't obstruct their view. They still have a clear view of mountains and areas beyond. True, some can see it if they look down, but they actually have to look across a green space down below near the street in order to see it. It's a fenced area near the road. It's a white fence and picnic tables. It's lower than the property elevation, so it's not a view obstruction. We have the same fencing in other areas of Four Seasons. The tables were already in our development. They were never considered unsightly. Unlike the public dog park at Noble Creek, our off-leash area will be much safer for our pets and residents. My understanding is the dogs will be required to be spayed or neutered. Non-spayed or neutered dogs usually are a problem at public parks, as dogs in heat can create unsafe situations. All of the dogs here will have to be current on vaccinations. Barking or disruptive dogs will not be allowed in there. Pet owners will pick up after their pets. Even at the public park, this surprisingly has not been a problem, and there is no odor or excessive noise. Our residents who will use the off-leash area realize the concerns our neighbors have, and I believe we will all be overly diligent to self-police, and we will have great appreciation for this long-awaited amenity. We've looked forward to this. I've been here over almost 5 years, and we've been looking forward to this for so long. I know that picking up after dogs on leash walks is an issue here, and it disturbs me every time I see it. But that is very difficult to control. Yes? Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I was fast. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Barry Goldstein.
Make sure I'm done in 3. I'll try my best. My name's Perry Goldstein. I'm here to discuss the expansion of the amphitheater and the eventual building of a new live outdoor performance venue in another location. As a qualifier, I've been involved in live event design and management as a career for over 40 years. I've designed and managed events with six-figure budgets, accommodating thousands of people at a time. I know this field well. I moved to Four Seasons on April 7th last year. After attending my first amphitheater event here, I immediately found that the current site is woefully inadequate in terms of size, comfort, safety access, ventilation and airflow, restroom access, dancing space, acoustics, and accessibility for emergency services for our guests and performers. Now there are plans to clear space for more seating. Cramming more people into the already way too small area is a very bad idea and bad use of community funds. It doesn't take an expert to see that it's unsafe to seat more people in that area. It's already way too crowded. If someone gets injured due to overcrowding or emergency services cannot reach someone who needs help, we will be held financially as well as morally liable. Have we even brought in a safety expert to assess the capacity of the area? If there's an injury, the insurance company will be able to deny a claim if we don't do our due diligence. We could essentially be on the hook for a 6 or 7-figure judgment against us. The better concert venue would be on the upper deck, grass and cement area. I don't have enough time here to state why that location is the best place to build this. That's how well suited it is. But our planning committee and amphitheater committee is recommending we spend upwards of $20,000 to fix, on a very temporary basis, the current amphitheater. And then in 2 years, we relocate the concerts. That's the equivalent of taking $20,000, tossing it in the toilet, and flushing it down. For the same money, we can buy a portable modular stage, which is made to be kept outdoors, or we can rent one at about $1,500 per use. It doesn't take much to stage a concert on the upper deck. All we need is an audio mixer, which we already have. A professional outdoor stage would enhance the experience, but if we want to do this on the cheap, we have all we need right now with no investment. I'm dead set against spending money on the amphitheater. We're creating what can be called a death trap and an invitation to a lawsuit. To quickly evacuate that area in case of emergency or get emergency services into that area is no easy task, especially with mobility impaired people. A reminder here, we're a 55+ community. We just don't move as fast as we used to. We cannot place the lives and the well-being of our attendees of these events in danger. Adding to the seating is not adding to the space used. On the contrary, it's making the area more crowded and more unsafe. I am urging the board to not allocate the funds to expand the seating in the amphitheater, and we have so many better places. Thank you.
Thanks, Barry. And our last speaker is Howard Fennelt.
Good afternoon. My name is Howard Fennelt, 331 Scarlet Runner. I have put forward a petition to the Board of Directors to stop the opening of the dog park until the homeowners are aware of the cause and effect on our community due to its location. I'm a dog lover. My experience and background is over 30 years working with community associations. I work with the Community Association Institute, and I'm here to tell you that the location of this park is wrong and is a danger. We've listed on the petition 10 major reasons why this needs to be relocated, and that's all that I and other homeowners are really asking for. We all have pets. They're a great part of our community. Firstly and foremost, I took a picture today. That's an environmental area, and it's protected. Now, that sign was put up evidently by Albanian. I believe that's one of the reasons they passed this thing on. I know we were going to have a dog park over in off of Crooked Creek. For some reason, the electric company or gas company didn't want it. I could have been taken care of 13 years ago. So what we have now is a community that is not aware of the ramifications and the cause and effect. So for that reason, I just came to inform everyone that there is a petition that I put up on the internet, and I'm trying to find out where I can put it up here. We have a petition area, and that's my points. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, we'll move on to the consent calendar. The purpose of the consent calendar is to make a single motion to approve all included items. If for a particular reason an item needs to be discussed or pulled from the consent calendar, then a call to remove that item should be made by a board member. In the consent calendar are minutes from the January open session meetings, several bond releases, financial reports will be in open session. There are several different parties and their dates and also several liens.
Second, to approve the consent calendar. Discussion? Favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you. Next is a report on executive session or action taken between meetings. There was an executive session held earlier today in the RCN at 9 a.m. where the board reviewed delinquencies, contracts, legal issues, personnel. And I do want to touch on one item that is held in executive session, which is member hearings, and to make clear that touching trees that are in the conservation area or in common area property is an illegal act. The Conservancy is a protected area, and the board deals with this very severely and feels a very high burden of fiduciary duty for that. Moving on, we'll see committee reports. First up is the ad hoc off-beach area report.
Good afternoon, board. Good afternoon, neighbors. I've been up here for a while, so I'm going to slow down here for a second. What I thought we'd start with was I know we have some new board members since the last time we actually recorded. So I wanted to update everybody and kind of do a little refresher. The ad hoc committee for off-leash rules was formed in late 2018 for the purpose of formulating rules and procedures for the off-leash area. The rules package was reviewed and approved by Association Legal Counsel and subsequently sent out to the residents for the requisite 30-day comment period, and after that was ratified by the board. Before going on hiatus in early 2019, pending the OLA completion, the committee drafted a proposal and accompanying charter draft, just a draft, for a standing body with direct reporting responsibility to the board. This eventually became part 7 of the community guidelines and was posted on the website. So they also drafted user training, required user training, and the accompanying slides. So today, after some of that work was put on hold, the draft proposal and the draft charter was put on hold at that time, pending the outcome of the off-leash area. So now we want to catch up to the current state. So currently what we have done, now that we have the fence up, is the committee revisited and approved the Canine Corral Council proposal and the draft charter. As proposed, the rules for participation, similar to committees or the communications board with liaisons from committees for related work or related interest groups. We're hoping to carry over some members from the ad hoc rules committee to this council. The proposed council would perform functions similar to the architectural review committee, including the items you see on the list here, as well as any other duties assigned by the board. For those who can't see, they would review and approve use applications for each canine corral user in the same fashion or similar fashion to the way the architectural review committee looks at applications for architectural improvements. They would define and propose future processes for board consideration. They would refine and deliver that user training. They would consider and propose rules modifications for board consideration. They would consider and research facility modifications for board consideration. They They would work with First Service Residential and the board on infractions. They would confer with subject matter experts as needed and confer with related committees and interest groups as needed as well. On behalf of the committee, well, thank you for your consideration of this proposal today.
Thank you, Martha. There's no report from that hot hour out, so we'll go to Steve with architectural.
Numbers are there, as always, pretty much self-explanatory. We've moved into a new era, I guess you would say, in that all the houses, of course, have been sold. We do have a few that still haven't completed their initial application, but those are becoming few and far between. We're stressing to the community members that the workload of the art committee's members should be lessened, and anybody who's been reluctant to check us out and become a member, less work, we'd still love to see it. We'd love to see that expansion of participation. As far as reporting to the board, we have notified the regular contractors that show up that the management office will no longer accept their incomplete applications with a promise to turn in the information just before the meeting. It's just caused enough problems, enough times where they allowed the homeowner or encouraged the homeowner to do what they want, that the committee or the board would put it through. So we've officially notified the 3 contractors that if it's not complete, management office will not accept their application. Hopefully that will resolve that issue. With that, there's not a whole lot more to say.
Steve, are those denied new applications due to incomplete applications?
Yes, what's happening is they're not turning in the whole thing. They promised, well, Tia's our First Service contact person. They promise her that they'll turn it in before the last minute. And what happens is it doesn't get turned in, and so it comes to the committee. We don't have the information, and we relied on what they're telling us they're going to do. Then what happens is once it's done and we get the Schedule C, there's stuff in there that absolutely shouldn't be. And we've encouraged them to do it right. At your request, we created a checklist. They're still turning them in incomplete, and I think it's been well, we're the biggest people in here that are doing the work. You got to work with us. We work with it, no more. Do it right or don't do it. So we haven't banned them. We just told them that if it's not complete, we won't accept it. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Next is the Communications Board. Lori.
Two inches from my mouth at all times. Okay. I'm Lori Larson. I'm the chair of the Communications Board. We have currently 17 members, and sadly, Sandra Butler Roberts has resigned. We will miss her terribly, but she wants to try some other things here. I can't hold it against her. But we are a large group. We're not looking for new participants at this time. We're continuing to compile a list of residents. It fascinates me how many interesting people live here. So we're talking about their lives, their careers. We're about to start, to put this on up there, but we're about to start a travel photo column where you can send in pictures of your vacations. Okay, the work on the year in review, which I've talked about every single time I've been up here for over a year now, and every time I tell them, well, it's going to be done, it's going to be done. Now we're aiming for April. It's kind of a compilation of everything that's gone on here since the HOA was opened. Okay, I think everybody knows that Randy Galt passed away very suddenly on January 19th, and because he spent 10 years working on the breeze, we are going to honor him in our next issue. Excuse me. Sorry. We are published monthly in the breeze, but we have a very current and up-to-date website. So if you want to find out anything you're not sure about a time or whatever, check the website. It is updated daily. that right, Larry? Daily? Okay, thanks. Okay, we meet twice a month. We meet on the first Wednesday of every month and then on the 10th of every month. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Lori. Next is the Community Planning and Transition Committee.
Yes.
It says hold this 2 inches away from my mouth. I'll try that. I'm Willis Fagan with the Community Planning and Transition Committee. Our committee was formed originally to work on the transition from the developer to us, the HOA. That work has been completed by our committee. There is ongoing work on that, but our committee is finished with that. We will now change our name to Community Planning Committee without the word transition. We will also modify our charter, and that will be done in this month. We are in the process of looking at lots and lots of land in our community that is either not used or underused or has been developed for certain uses but is no longer used for that, or that could be used for things that it's not used for. As you drive around our community, you'll doubtlessly see these big patches of land sitting there, and some of them can be used, some of them must remain exactly as they are, they can't be touched, and other land can have a variety of uses that we're looking at, lots and lots of different uses. Part of the consideration is always access to the parcels of ground, parking, toilet facilities, handicapped accessibility, and things like that, as well as adjacent neighbors. So we have a lot to think about when we consider those land areas. Other considerations of our committee is solar energy and power, increased building area. If you've ever been around these buildings when they're all full of people and Cindy is trying to schedule more people in here, it's amazing. We have to schedule things a long ways out. Repurposing some of the existing building areas. The developer started many years ago thinking about what this community would be like, and some of these spaces are no longer viable for those uses, so we can repurpose them. And we are creating a big long list of improvements and what their benefits will be and what their priorities will be. One of the main things we do is to anticipate the future. What are the future expectations? What will they be of our community? And what about younger homeowners? I asked that question at a recent meeting, and people said, well, we don't care, we're not going to be here then. But you should care, because it affects the value of your home and your property. So we need to think about keeping our community as viable and interesting as possible into the future. Also, what can we do now to prolong the life expectancy of our existing facilities? Those are important things to think about. And one of the things that we talked a lot about in our committee is a good quality of life. Once you live here, it should be a really good quality of life. It has been said that a no answer is just a yes answer looking for the right question. We try to ask and answer the right questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Willis. Next is Emergency Preparedness Committee.
Good afternoon, everyone. This month, we're going to be meeting with Nellie tomorrow, and we've had a couple proposed changes to the Residence Emergency Handbook. I'm going to try to get them processed so we can put out a new handbook. And it's not just minor things, but it's not too bad. And then we're doing a new mission statement, and we're going to put that through pass it through the committee at our next meeting, which is next Tuesday. And due to the coronavirus situation, Len suggested that possibly we expand our charter to include quarantine situations where we turn around and try to give out advice to people on how to better handle the situation. So not that we're going to become quarantined, but like he said, we're more or less a landlocked cruise ship. So in order to be treated properly, I think we should we're going to try to address the situation about people who have viruses and could possibly be coughing. We're going to talk about coughing, face masks, and hand washing, and how enforcing those things can really help people from passing things on. And as usual, we're looking for new members out there, so anybody, our next meeting is next Tuesday, 10 a.m. in the RCN conference room. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Mike. Next is facilities with Jim.
Good afternoon. I'm Jim Griffin, the Chair for Facilities Committee. Right now, we're still working on trying to get bids for re-roofing this lodge complex here, and it's been a slow process. The contractors, we're pushing them a little harder, trying to give them clarification, trying to get bids in so we can get this thing rolling before we get into next fall's rainy season. So that's our big push right now. Also, we've submitted through the Finance Committee to redo the lighting at the pickleball and paddleball courts. That was approved by them, and hopefully the board approved today. And we could get that started, get LED lighting installed, which will improve the lighting situation for all of those players. That's about all I have. The Facilities Committee meets on the second Wednesday of every month. Everybody's welcome to come. We don't need any more new members. We've got 2 more, we're just adding, so we'll be at full capacity. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Next is Finance Committee. Claudia.
Mr. Chairman, honorable members of the board, I do want to thank each and every one of you for serving our community. I greatly appreciate it. And welcome to my neighbors here at Four Seasons. I'm Claudia Rossi. I'm Vice Chairman of the Finance Committee. I'm here today in lieu of our Chairman, Mr. Barry Giannetti, who could not be here today. The biggest thing that Finance Committee has been considering is that our service company, First Service Residential, has been going through a computer transition, a program transition for our accounting systems. So we've been working with them closely, and they had a successful transition for our November financial statements. They did issue our October statements in the old system, and we found that the transition was actually an improvement in our financial statements and in our information and the way we can read it and see where we are at any one time. So we did present approved October and November financial statements to the board for their approval today, and they did that during the consent calendar. Thank you very much. We're showing a net income year to date. This is 2019 information. And keep that in mind, we only had financial statements through November. We had a little bit of a delay with that computer transition. And we are awaiting the December financial statements that we will consider here at our February meeting. We expect that we will catch up and only be our traditional 60-day window sometime either March or April. So we will be timely. So you'll see our year-to-date net income for 2019 through November 30th was $330,000. What that meant was we budgeted in excess of our expenditures for that year. But keep in mind there were some expenditures that were planned for 2019 that have yet to happen. And the biggest part of that is our conservancy area. You hear the board speak frequently about this area of green space that is a protected area. It's protected by several state agencies, federal agencies, where we do have to maintain it, and those expenses are still today being paid by KHOVE, and they've not turned it over to us legally yet. But that's worth about $125,000 a year, and so this expense or this savings we will not have in 2020. We're expecting this turnover any day now. And that keeps dragging on. So again, those expenses are budgeted also in 2020, and we have not been expending that money through January or February. So we will have somewhat of a savings also in 2020. The biggest part of that $320,000 or $330,000 is $120,000 of that was budgeted just for the Conservancy. So we want you guys all to be aware of that, why there's such a savings. Also, because of the rainy season, we did not expend as much in utilities as we had planned. We had seen an escalating trend in 2018. We had planned in 2019 escalating usage of especially water, and there were water rate changes, and yet we did not expend as much of the water budget that we had this year also. The Finance Committee is recommending a change to the budget process for our HOA, and that is that we will fully be responsible for our budget and not rely on what's required by the state, and that BRE is Bureau of Real Estate. When you are a community association and the developer holds a financial interest in your development, you have to follow state rules about your budget process. Our developer is now pretty much done. I don't think we've had the final turnover yet, but we're expecting that for the 2020 budget that we develop it through solely homeowner recommendations. And so we're submitting that as a policy item to the board. Many of you have been reading hopefully you've been reading our articles in the Breeze. The Finance Committee does attempt to write articles that in easy layman's language translate our financial information and policy items to our homeowners. So we have 2 articles in the February. We're going to come up with our reserve article for March. So I do encourage you to read those, and if you have any questions to ask, but come to our Finance Committee meetings and ask those questions of us. We did review 6 proposals in January. 5 are recommended for the board approval. What we do in our committee is usually, if it's not quite clear enough, we'll send it back to the proposing committee for more information or reconsideration. We never stop a proposal. Once we have enough information and the committee before us has done all of the financial due diligence, then we move it on to the board with whatever our vote is, in favor or not in favor, and let the board make that final decision. And then 1 was returned, like I said, for further information to a committee. Other than that, we do have our meetings are the last Thursday of every month, last Tuesday of every month at 1 o'clock in the RCM conference room. We have 2 members that are hopefully going to join us soon, but we're always looking for new members to participate. Thank you.
Thanks, Claudia. Next is the Landscape Committee.
Good afternoon. I'm Lynette Simonson, Landscape Committee, and it's a job I'm enjoying immensely. So thank you for allowing me to serve. And I want to make sure that Albert Padilla and Patty Pitts are approved today. I thought of them at the last minute, so I put them on the top of my agenda. So I'm asking for approval by the board today. They've completed 3 Friday walks, the 3 committee meetings, and their interviews. I'm asking the board's having them approved. And as you can see by the slide, that O'Connell is no longer our vendor, and Park West, as of February 2nd, is now the landscape vendor for Phase A. Please be patient as Park West gets up to speed on this area, and that includes the entrances here. So they'll be getting used to all the ins and outs of Phase A, and we're looking forward to that. Okay, tree thinning project. The update is we now have the arborist report in our hand as the landscape committee identifies possible trees for removal for this ongoing project. So we're working on it, and we have a lady has agreed to try and join our committee, so we're doing well in committee membership. Thank you.
Lynette, you want to be full approved for your committee?
Yes, please.
I make a motion to approve Albert Padilla and Patty Pitts for the landscape.
Moved and second to approve Alma Cadilla and Patty Pitts for the landscape committee. Discussion. Favor? Aye. One other thing, Lynette. The area A in the western section there is going to require our association to do some landscaping there. So would you get together with the community planning committee and come up with some proposals of what we can do to that area? Because right now it's just going to be a weed patch unless we do something to it.
We're very happy to get rid of weeds whenever we can. We look forward to working with committee planning on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Safety Committee. Kathy?
Good afternoon. I'm Kathy Craven, and I'm the co-chair of the Safety Committee. I'm covering for Anita today. One of the things or the big thing that we're looking at this year is a traffic study. There hasn't been one done since the community has been at build-out. So we're going to do one to determine where the traffic patterns are. They've changed a lot. And this may add stop signs or remove some that have already been put in. This is going to be really short because there's not much to talk about. Our next meeting is Tuesday, March 13th at 10 a.m. in the RCN conference room. We're always looking for new members, so if anybody wants to join us or just come with your thoughts of maybe how we can improve some safety in the community, please feel free to join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Next is the Social Committee. Loretta.
Good afternoon. Loretta Ramsey with Social Committee. Our next event is the Rock and Roll Reunion, which is February 23rd. Please come on out with your 50s attire and enjoy our 4 impersonators. We are going to be changing the, for our next event, the new procedure for the ticket sales. So basically all residents, when you're buying the ticket, you're going to line up at 8:30 out in the front of the ballroom, and everybody will get a number. And then we'll also hand you a form where you're going to put everybody's name that you're buying a ticket for. And then we'll let you come into the ballroom here, and by 9 o'clock, you'll get your table and your tickets. So that means basically when you come at 8:30, make sure that you have all the checks that you are purchasing for, because we don't want you running back home, getting them. And then, so this way basically we're going to save a lot of time. So basically I think this is going to kind of help everybody from not coming back 2 times. And I think that's it. And our next meeting is basically the first Tuesday of each month. April 10th, that's right, paint night. So this is when we're actually going to start the new procedure, is paint night, which is April 10th. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Loretta. Next is the Technical Operations Board. Gary.
Thank you, and since yours was short, I was going to be a little bit long, I told everybody last month that this may go a couple of minutes because we did a lot of work this last month. So we finally had a tech consultant into the community, and we found an awful lot of things that I wanted to share. First of all, many of the products that we have here are of consumer grade. They're not made for commercial industrial use. Systems are mostly designed and installed as an as-needed basis and a one-off. Nothing's really working right. To the people that don't operate the stuff or aren't familiar with this, you wouldn't know, but to those of us that work with it, nothing works the way it's supposed to work. And there's only one person in the whole community that can really operate this whole audio system here completely in that stand, and that's kind of dangerous to have one person do it. Many of the electronics were hooked up and programmed incorrectly or inefficiently. Now, I'm not trying to point fingers or anything at anybody, but and it's common, you know, house of worship and community centers like this generally have, because it's volunteer-based, they don't have people that are inside the industry that would know all this. The stage lighting is incomplete. The pack has to put another set of lights back there. So we talked about that. I think the biggest glaring problem is the network configuration is consumer style. Our Wi-Fi, in other words, the Wi-Fi sucks. Because it's built with consumer products and it's built in a consumer model, and I'm going to talk a little bit more of that in a little bit. The current outdoor mixer in the amphitheater is too small for the bands that we've been getting. And for the ballroom audio, the good news is we have almost all the hardware we need. We don't need to buy a lot. What we need to do is tear it apart, re-hook it up, and hook it up so it works properly. Next, please. Here's a couple of examples of why commercial products are better than consumer products. The monitors have a longer warranty. The commercial monitors we put up here, as soon as you put a commercial monitor up, the warranty is voided. It's made to be in your home, not in a clubhouse. Commercial monitors designed for 24/7 use. The monitors can be networked and used for emergency notifications. Where's the safety committee? So in other words, we could have monitors, they're all, if there's an emergency, all of them could be an emergency notification immediately. The prices are close to the same. You just have to know to buy a commercial monitor. Don't go to Walmart to buy monitors here. There's no brand on the front, which is kind of my pet peeve. Commercial speakers sound better, and I'm going to show you a picture in a second. And a commercial network router has better security and scalability. Okay, I know that's a lot of technical words, but it means we can grow it larger as our Wi-Fi needs grow. Next, please. So here's the RCN, if you notice. The speaker on the top doesn't work. So we're using a little consumer sound bar and for that large room. And then people complain it sounds bad. That's not how it's supposed to work. Next, please. So here's my immediate recommendations. Addition of a second row of lighting, as the PAC has asked. That was on request from the PAC. Remodel the current ballroom audio mixer system. We have a recommendation on how to do that too. We're going to have a meeting after this. Addition of stage-facing video monitors. Joe gave me that idea. Put a couple monitors up here so when we're doing a show, people can see their lines up there. And this way, you know, for people that are having troubles memorizing their lines, and the board could be looking at there rather than over here. This is the big deal. Register one AV tech as a maintenance provider. Is that the right word, Cindy?
Yes.
Maintenance provider. You can't have 16 techs coming in, everybody touching it. Everybody has a different way of doing it. And when we have a problem, we can't call one person because it's, oh, that guy did that, that guy did that. We really need just one person operating the system. Established, and Eric and I are going to work on this, a detailed needs statement for our broadband needs. Right now, as I said, this is what we call a consumer model. This should be an enterprise model where the whole community feeds off of one broadband feed. We know exactly how much we need in each place. I don't want to get too technical on that, but the Wi-Fi needs a lot of improvement. Next, please. Additional recommendations for the future. Video streaming capability in the ballroom for those that perform in the shows. Wouldn't you like to have that streamed to your family and friends outside of the area so they can see your shows? Online, oh, here's a good one. Online payments, since I'm a tech guy and this is part of my thing. Online payments through our website for our shows. Lining up at 8 o'clock to buy tickets is so 1950s. We should wear our poodle skirts when we do that, right? And we should use allow the clubs to use that system too. For the Hanukkah party, people had to go up to Nancy Justice's house to pay for the tickets. How many of you have bought tickets online anytime in the last 2 years or something? We all know how to do that, right? We need to kind of get there. Create an enterprise AV-IT system where all devices are connected and operated as a single entity. So when we have a problem with the AV, one of the techs can log in from their house and fix anything from anywhere. That's what, and the interesting thing is, that's what our equipment does. It's just not hooked up to do it. Update the audio mixer for outdoor use. Add permanently mounted outdoor speakers when the new venue is determined. So, because we're getting old, we can't keep lifting those speakers up and down after every show. It's really, you know. And I gotta, this is a shot I'm firing over the bow. Get ready for this one. Stan's kind of getting tired of working all the shows. We're gonna have to transition from volunteer tech operators to paid expert staff. I did a show at Laguna Woods at 10 o'clock in the morning. My band showed up. I had 2 professional technicians who knew exactly what they were doing. They set us up. It was fabulous. They broke it down. We need to get to the point where we have professional people doing this. Next. Okay, so I'm trying to get experts in different fields because this stuff is really, really complicated. I spent my life in this and I have trouble keeping it up. So I want to break it out into audio, video, lighting, network, and safety and security because there's a lot of things we can do for the safety and security with technology that we're currently not doing. Next. Here, so now I want to leave you with a little bit of food for thought. The community of the future will be totally connected. It is now. What do we want our community to be? Next. Future technologies we should be talking about and looking at now because we can integrate them in. 5G wireless broadband to replace wired broadband. In other words, we'll get our broadband from Verizon, not from Spectrum. Electronic perimeter security. Streaming devices instead of cable boxes. Cable boxes are 1980s. Streaming boxes, if you have good broadband, are cheaper and give you more channels. Backup generators to run public facilities for emergency situations. Current technology utilizes natural gas, but eventually in the next couple of years we're going to be introducing high-capacity solar-powered or high-capacity solid-state batteries for our cars and for our communities that we could run generators off of. Next. Anybody want to attend this with me? Yeah.
How many more slides are there?
About 2.
I think we're at the point where you have a tremendous number of recommendations there.
Yeah.
Where are these recommendations going?
We're going to forward the 2 of them up immediately. What I'm trying to do is give the community an idea of things we can go.
You're telling me what? I want to know where.
Well, right now they're in our committee. We're reviewing them. We just got them. Once we review them, we will be sending them up to finance.
Which permanent committee are they going to?
Finance.
I think you're better off to go to the community planning committee first. I mean, this is such a broad swath of recommendations.
Most of what I'm talking about
now, listen,
is concept.
Just listen. Take them there first, let them put them in categories and sort them out and prioritize them. You can't come into finance with this because I can tell you right now we turned down. It's too big. So do it the way I recommend, which is take it all to the community planning committee and let them sort it out and prioritize it. Because you can't do it all at once.
We know that.
Okay.
I'm not asking for all that.
Right. Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And with that, there's no community ambassador here, so we'll move on to the activities director report with Cindy.
Well, anybody who was in the lodge yesterday saw a very well-attended travel expo. Yay! Thank you guys for coming. We had neat vendors, and I hate to be probably inappropriate, but whatever. Did you notice how inexpensive the Asian fairs were? Yeah, but because there's a whole lot of other travel trips though that look really wonderful. Great job for everybody on the travel club. Claudia worked her butt off. So many people came in and were really making it a wonderful event. So hook up with Travel Club, keep your ear open, because they are coming up with some really wonderful travel packages and excursions. And next year it's going to be even better because they're contracting with all the local excursion companies as well. We have all the big people this time, but this next year we're going to be hooking up with all the local excursion people. So if you don't have time to take a week or more on a big cruise or a giant trip, then you could just do a little day trip or something. And there's so many cool ones out there now. So keep that in mind for next year, and we'll let you know as soon as we know when we've got it booked. So thanks for coming. All right, next, I was going to talk about the Valentine's Day HOA sponsored event, which is tomorrow. We did not realize, it's going to be really fun for all of you guys who can't come. Yeah.
Just most of us.
Great live band, good DJs, and treats and all that good stuff. You'll have to poke your head in if you weren't able to get tickets. We did not realize that all the tickets would be gone in 4 hours. Whoops! So keep that in mind with how fast people are wanting to get those tickets. There will be several other HOA sponsored events that'll be coming up. One next month, which is Steel Drum, a Steel Drum event, which is going to be fun. And then a Dixieland Mardi Gras, which will be the month after that. So keep your ear to the ground, because when the tickets are released, oh my gosh, make sure you have a representative to come and get your tickets for you. If you can't get them that fast, sorry, Loretta. Yeah. All right. So there's that. HOA community-wide garage sale is back again on April 4th. So be sure that you go and get your sign up. It's only $7 as usual to participate, and that's to be on the big community map. And that also includes your garage sale permit from the city. And don't forget, there have been so many residents that became millionaires doing this. Okay? Easily done, because we do have, outsiders come in, and we've had several occasions, right, Jeff, where people have, found special treasures and become millionaires. So if you have things you got to downsize, so do it. Because the next one won't be until October. So get rid of your stuff, become a millionaire, or just go and have fun treasure hunting. And then clubs, groups, and classes. I want to let you know too. Amphitheater is having their first meeting, the amphitheater group, for our amphitheater concert series, right? And the first meeting, if you want to come to put some input in regarding band selection and so forth, is going to be next Wednesday, the 19th at 10:30. So if you have a special band that you would like the group to consider, bring it on over. Or if you just want to sit in and share some particular genre that you're really hoping that we'll look at, bring that in too. So that'll be fun. We all love that concert series. So we could use as much input as possible. And then Heart and Soul Line Dancers are going to be having their party and workshop this Saturday, February 15th. See Priscilla Robles if you are still interested in doing that. She's in the directory, and she can give you all the details regarding pricing and all that. And the Performing Arts Club will be holding another live radio show on Saturday, February 29th at 6 p.m. right here in the Lodge Ballroom. And they're going to be doing two shows from Mystery Suspense Theater called the ABC Murderers. Ooh. And you can feel free to bring in your dinners, and there's no charge for minutes for this event either. And finally, just a little encouragement, February is Black History Month, right? And every Friday for the month of February, right, we have 3 movies, Black History movies. So check the daily report and the movie schedules for the names of movie titles and their contact descriptions. And that is a lot for February. So I dare you to get worn out by coming to all these things. And have a great February, and I love you. Happy Valentine's Day. We love you too.
Next is the management report. First on pages 88 through 108 are the management updates and activity log as information. Next on pages 109 through 114 are correspondence. For information, no action needed. So next is new business. First up is the Canine Corral Council from the ad hoc off-leash area, which Martha spoke about earlier, on pages 115 through 130. This would create the council that would help to oversee the off-leash area down on Breckenridge Avenue.
I propose that we make a motion to approve the Canine Corral Council.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the draft that we have for the Canine Corral Council. So we'll be opening up for discussion. And I will lead off then. In the purpose, you said that the Canine Corral will manage any other matters relating to dogs within the community. I don't think that's really what we want, because there are certain issues between dog owners that have nothing to do with the council. But they are important if it's just a neighbor to a neighbor, or so I think it should be modified to say, when requested by the board or HOA to do work with any other dog-related issues. The next thing is in the membership. I think they need a treasurer. Absolutely, because they're going to have to collect funds, and I think in addition to someone to run the council, the most important person is a treasurer. To open a bank account, I think they need to open a bank account, and they have to submit the necessary forms to accept donations. So I think those three things must be included in the charter. So, any other discussions? So can we make those modifications and approve it with modifications?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, what we're talking about here is a full-fledged committee, so it should have all the bells and whistles that a full-fledged committee has.
Yes.
Yes.
And we're approving this committee right now, is that council?
Yes.
Well, council, but it's a committee. So to approve this without having any input as to who's going to be the chair, the vice chair, members, is this premature, or can we
I think we can go ahead and do it so they can organize and acquire membership. Jerry, we'd like you to be the liaison to it, and if you would take charge of interviewing members, and then at the next board meeting, propose who would be the key members of the committee.
Yes. So this is to approve the committee in general, and then we will have another approval to approve the chair, vice chair, and so on.
Correct.
Yes.
Good.
And the rules have already been established. So this is just for an actual
Yeah, I see.
council.
Okay.
I propose we amend the proposal for the Canine Corral Council to include the suggestions made by Glenn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on page 131 is a request from the social committee regarding ticket sales, specifically for the committee. As they state in the proposal, New Year's Eve was a prime example where there were some issues with getting tickets for the committee members that were working the event. They're requesting the ability to have two tables that members would purchase before they're on sale for the general public. General public meaning the association, not general public outside of the gates. that would be a policy change for that.
So all the members of the social committee will inhabit those 2 tables, is that?
No, only members that are working the event would be able to purchase, and they would still purchase the tickets. So these aren't tickets that are being given to them, because that's something that, being on a committee, you're not able, or the board, you're not able to have any kind of monetary gift or freebies per se. So they're still purchasing tickets at the regular price. They'd be placed in the worst sight lines, as it were. It'd just be where they could purchase tickets to then work that event before they go on sale to everybody else.
How many members are there on the social committee?
9.
9, so with spouses or whatever, we're looking at 18. And are we saying those 18 would have those 2 tables, or be some of those 18, and the rest of the committee would purchase their tickets like everybody else?
Exactly.
Good, okay.
It'd only be for the people that are actually working the event. The social committee members that aren't working would be in line just like everybody else.
Is there any reason they can't do that now?
The policy has been that tickets go on sale and everybody gets them at the same time. So this will be a policy change for that.
So there's been situations where the committee have not been able to get a ticket for people that are going to have to work the event.
Can't they just set aside the tickets?
That's what they're asking to do.
Set aside 2 tables.
I just don't understand why we need to, you know, it's their party. Why can't they just do it that way?
The policy has been that it's not been allowed in the past.
What policy?
That the policy is that everybody gets tickets in the same.
We are rescinding a policy?
No.
Is there a policy in place in writing right now that says they
Not
can't?
that I know of.
Yeah, so that's what I think. You don't need a policy. It's your party. You ought to be able to set it up and do it the way you want it.
I guess I have a problem with that, because it's your policy, you can set it up any way you want, but you can also set up a policy internally that says everyone on your committee can bring 6 people with them and take 10 tables. So this would limit how many you could do, and I think that's a good idea to do it this way. So this places a limitation on what you can do.
And they're not going to be right up front. We'll definitely be.
No, that's fine, but I mean, we do need a limitation so that, I'm not saying you're going to do that, but to keep things under control. So just stating this as a limit to what you can do, you can't just change things willy-nilly. I think this is a good idea.
My concern is if it's not broken, don't fix it.
So your concern is, his concern is that it's not broken, don't fix it.
Even if anything else, it's an informational on the process for the board to see.
Okay, but why do we need a proposal that locks it in?
Well, I guess from when it first started, the social committee, they were just basically saying that, you know, social committee should get their tickets just like everybody else.
Yeah.
But it's getting to a point where, you know, we need the help. So we want the social committee members to attend also while they're up putting it together. But most of the time, some of them can't get to there in time to purchase their tickets.
Sure. I don't see this harming anything, doing it this way, and it does keep it more honest and straightforward.
And it makes it more transparent so that in a year or 2 years, when it's different committee members and different board members, they can point back and say, here's the policy as established. It is legit. This is why we're doing it this way.
Actually, we don't have a motion.
Because we've been discussing this without motion, so I will make a motion that we approve the social committee's proposal for committee members to be able to have their tickets in advance of regular ticket sales.
Second.
Seconded to approve the proposal from the social committee. Further discussion?
Yeah, this is as stated here, 2 tables, so on. We're going with this exactly.
Yes.
Okay, but yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on pages 132 through 134 is a proposal from the Landscape Committee to do some common area reconstructions in Phase D across from Stellar Peak and Royce Peak. Total cost is $3,244. This has gone through the landscape committee, and they also recommend approval.
I make a proposal that we approve the expenditure of $32.44 for the landscape committee, as indicated.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to approve the landscape committee request to expend $3,244 on the Phase D common area reconstruction. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on pages 135 through 158 is a request from the safety committee to do another traffic survey. The traffic survey has been done for several years. This traffic survey would be in 11 spots to really get a feel on the traffic flow, traffic speed. Also would allow tickets to be upheld in court. Total cost is $4,900, and again, this is from the facility finance committee, and recommended for approval by them as well.
I'll make a motion to approve the traffic survey as recommended by the safety committee in the amount of $4,900.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the traffic survey request of $4,900. Discussion?
Eric, when is this going to take place? When are they going to perform this?
In April. That gives people a little bit more time to get used to the Breckenridge
Yeah,
gate.
that's what I just wondered if we had a little bit more time to get used to the Breckenridge gate actually being functioning, so we can see how people's patterns are developing.
Yes, I mean, by the time it gets signed, well, signed today and then scheduled, it'd be April.
I have a question. We have two options. We have an option B, which is the 4,900, and that is for 24 hours and for 7 days. You have 24 hours and a one-day report for $3,100, which 1 day is $3,100, 7 days is $4,900. I don't understand why 1 day would be so much more compared to 7 days. Is that?
It's because, it's because they have to come out, set up all the different areas, lay them down, and then come back. So once it's up, and one of the ways that we're saving costs is that staff will check to make sure that the areas haven't been disturbed and that the actual survey equipment is still taking accurate survey. But the main cost is to come out, put all the different areas down, come back out, pick it all up. The data's in the computer, so download it, run the report, and we're good.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on page 159 through 195 is a request from the Facilities Committee to update the pickleball and paddleball lights. Once the tennis courts here were converted to pickleball courts, the lighting structures were not adequate. They don't cover the back part of the courts. Also the LEDs, this would be able to move slightly to set that up. The LEDs are brighter, and then we'll also have a cost savings and a return on investment. Total cost is $33,991, and this is a reserve expense.
I move we accept the Facilities Committee recommendation to put the lighting in the paddleball courts for $33,991.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to approve the LED lighting for the pickleball, paddleball lighting conversion. Discussion? Do we have any idea how much this is estimated to save?
I think we talked about return on investment. Claudia, was it maybe like
6 years?
6 years?
6 years.
I was thinking somewhere between 5 and 6 years.
And that was a very conservative estimate.
Okay. So, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next on pages 196 through 197 is a proposal from management to purchase the activity signs for the activity signage up front. So the sign that's up at the front gate was modified every year by KHOF. Cindy would give them their events for the year, or our events for the year, and they would purchase the signage for that. With KHAV no longer being here, it'd be up to the association to then purchase the signage so that people know what events are going on through that sign. Total cost estimate is, or not to exceed, is $2,200 for the year. It did go through finance, there was passed, not unanimously.
I know we haven't had a motion yet, but let me understand what we're talking about there. We have this billboard out there, and you're going to get, based on what the event is, you're going to have this thing, you're going to slide it in place, and that's going to be up there.
Exactly, almost like the name tags here, where they slide in so we can...
Yeah, I guess I have a problem with that, and my problem is we are a modern, advanced community. I would like to see electronic sign that you can control from here, from your office. Matter of fact, I even did a little research last night myself, and I'm just spending 10 minutes on the internet, and I found a sign which is 45 inches by 70 inches. It's a marquee. It's got the software. You put it up. You put up whatever you want. Change it constantly. It can move. It can sit there still. And I think it would once you put it in, you don't have to go up and replace signs constantly. And it's only double the cost, an extra couple $1,000s. And I think I would prefer something like this, even though I'm basically a cheap guy. For $4,700, and I'm not saying go with this one. I'm saying we ought to give it to facilities and let them go find something that is maybe the most appropriate and have several alternatives. And I think an electronic sign, about time we do that. And actually, it's part of, to me, bringing the community up to 2020. So I have a problem with this.
Does anybody want to bring up this proposal? In that case, I would recommend we follow Joe's recommendation, send it back to facilities, ask them to look up an electronic sign. We could put outside I guess just the trail gate that we could use, because I can foresee, like you do, Joe, if not events, happenings that are going on, that people coming back might need to know something's amiss somewhere, or there's a blockage in a road or something.
Emergency, safety
So it gives us a lot more options for a few more dollars. So
we'll do.
Please take that on. Finance committee? Facilities committee? Okay.
We'll do.
On.
Next on the agenda are the financial statements from October 2019 and November 2019 from pages 198 through 236. This was reviewed at the last Finance Committee meeting with 2 board members, and their recommendation is to approve the financials as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the October and November financials as have been reviewed by the Finance Committee and myself and Ed Pauls.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the October and November 2019 financials. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And then in unfinished business, the social media event guidelines went out for 28-day homeowner comment. Comments were received as on page 238, with 30 in approval for non-approval. Thus recommending to ratify the rules, which will then be added to the community guidelines and posted online.
This is not a proposal, right?
No, it's to approve the rules that have gone out.
I have a question. Who do I address it
to? To you.
I do not understand this last business about other guests under the age of 21 will be welcome if so advertised by the event committee.
Well, well, what that is we actually have some insurance benefits when we limit because of the alcohol that we bring in for 21 years and over. If we have family-oriented events, that we advertise our for families. We don't need to have alcohol during that time. And we also are saying this is a family-oriented event. It's not necessarily something that kids have to be super quiet. They can't be running around or whatever. For more of an adult setting.
So this has nothing to do with one of us deciding to bring in an 18-year-old date? No.
Well, do you want to say, what is the insurance, Eric? I think it's 21. I'm pretty sure it's 21.
What I have a problem with is
Okay.
the if so advertised. Because that means if it's not advertised, people are going to make one assumption, which may or may not be correct.
Well, how do you want to say it?
Well,
leave off 21.
Just put on the announcement whether
Okay.
or not 21-year-olds are allowed.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Don't be silent, just say exactly what you want.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Got that? Okay. Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion on this before it goes out?
Well, it's gone out.
It's gone out.
So this is to ratify.
Like I say, any further discussion?
Do we need a motion?
Yes.
Okay, I move that we accept as we've discussed.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. We accept the social committee events rules as stated or amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Our next open session meeting will be right back here. March.
I would like to say one thing before. I would like to thank Ed for your service in the committees and on the board. And this is your last meeting here. And we certainly appreciate all of the effort you put in, as well as the financial guidance in particular that you brought to us. And well done. Okay,
All right, so our next meeting will be Thursday, March 12th, here in the ballroom at 1 p.m.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second. Moving second, we adjourn, all in favor? Carries.